I came out of my bathroom and all of a sudden I saw a bunch of people around my bed and I was wondering what was going on. Who were these people and why were they in my house and what were they doing? And they were just holding a conversation and ignoring me. And I didn't know what was going on. I was pretty freaked out. And eventually they spoke to me and said that they were having a conversation regarding whether they should allow me to continue to use or not. I've always kind of known that I've had an issue, but I've always wanted to kind of just deny it. But when I really kind of realized that this is gets out of control, this is out of hand, I'm getting out of hand, um, is when I started to, how do you say, just see things and hear things and feel things, and it was just making me feel uncomfortable at the time, and I didn't know how to stop, even though I was feeling these things. My addiction consisted of IV using. So it would go straight into my bloodstream. And it would be a strong feeling that just increased. So it started messing with my way of thinking. And so um, I remember the first time it happened. Um, I came out of my bathroom and all of a sudden I saw a bunch of people around my bed and I was wondering what was going on. Who were these people and why were they in my house and what were they doing? And they were just holding a conversation and ignoring me. And I didn't know what was going on. I was pretty freaked out. And eventually they spoke to me and said that they were having a conversation regarding whether they should allow me to continue to use or not. And so I thought that was pretty, cool that they're talking about me and saying that they didn't want me to use, but there were some that wanted me to continue to use because it was the only way for them to communicate with me. I don't know. I was just going off the deep end there. Ever since then, they stuck with me and they just were around me the whole time, and I would hold conversations with them as if I was talking to you, and then it became even more intense when I started feeling them touching me and like holding me and grabbing me, and it was very uncomfortable, and I couldn't really do anything about it. Even when I had stopped, for moments, they were still there. So it just really completely messed with me. When I had ran out of money, or when I was done with that binge, and I give myself maybe a week or two just to kind of cool down, but they were still there. I felt that they were as real as you and me, and it just never went away. I mean, I tried everything to kind of say, all right, this is an hallucination and I'm just seeing things, but when they just never went away, it just became real. And then I'd had moments where they were trying to hurt me, and so I, you know, although I feared for my life, I didn't really have any friends, or real friends actually, so I couldn't turn to anyone, and so I continued to use and welcomed them because they're the only company that I had, only people that I talked to. So I didn't want people looking at me weird, and so I had enough mental processing, and enough in me to like, okay, I'm around people, I should not talk to these people in front of them or react. But at the time, I had my own place, my own apartment, and really, I isolated, and so I stayed away from people, and it was just me and them. But it started to get to the point to where I started expressing, in front of people, but people who didn't know who I was, or who weren't around me often enough, so I couldn't, I'm like, all right, these are my friends, I can't do this in front of them. This is my family, I can't do this in front of them. But these are just people that I would just maybe socialize with every now and then, and even they were freaking out a little bit. But it is what it is. My addiction took over, and I couldn't say no. So I remember I was arguing with them because I wanted them to go away, and they wouldn't leave me alone. And I remember one time going to the side of my bed and turning around, and one was just choking me. To the point to where I almost blacked out, and I couldn't breathe. And we finally let go, and I apologized. I apologized to them, for saying the wrong things or doing something. I just didn't want them to harm me, but at the same time, I didn't want them to go away. I grew up a religious person, um, so I do believe in evil spirits, and I talked about this once before with an actual person who worked for DPR, and he kind of gave me some guidance on how to deal with it. If I was going to be, if I was approaching him with the spiritual, from a spiritual aspect, he wanted to kind of help me out spiritually and help me cope with this. So we talked about different techniques to help me um, wash them away. And so I was grateful for that. So as far as how that goes, I felt like there were just evil spirits around me, and some were good, I believe, because they were kind and looking out for my best interests. So I don't know how that goes. I just felt like they're not here anymore, but I was grateful for those good ones. And at the time, I guess I was happy to have the bad ones around, but I'm glad they're not here anymore. That's for sure. I grew up in a poverty-like area, so I saw a lot of gangs. I do remember seeing some abuse and violence. But at the same time, I was a joyful kid. I was a joyful person. I had a big family who were very joyful people. They were a family of huggers and lovers. And so we just, I have that in me. And I was never able to express that with the people that I hung around with. So it was just me trying to figure out what it was that I was trying to deal with. But, I think just my biggest scar is just not knowing who I was, just trying to fit in everywhere. I do remember moving around a lot as a kid, and I continue to do it today. I'm moved from city to city, different countries, and it's just how I was built now. But I like it. I like meeting new people. I'm a people person. I've had dealt with a lot of trust issues. I know it's hard to believe, but I've never been in a relationship. But I think a lot of that was because of me. I think my drugs and it just got in the way of everything. I remember I was using in the middle of the night, and I had the TV on, and I remember seeing a commercial, midnight infomercials are showing this, like, hey, you have addiction problem, call this number. And I remember writing the number down, and I remember the next day seeing a phone number and not knowing what number that was for. And I ended up calling it, and I was still high when I called it. And so somebody picked up and started talking to me about addiction, and I'm like, well, maybe this was the answer that I'm looking for. And they led me to a facility that was near me, and I called them. But I knew, like, I guess I wrote the number down because I needed help, and I knew I needed help. I remember asking my family member for help before and admitting to them that I had a problem, that I needed help, and I didn't hear anything from that person for a while. And so I felt like, this person doesn't care. Why should I care? So, but I always look at things as signs as well. So writing that number, calling that number was a sign, and seeing the number. And they called, I called them, and I spoke to a psychiatrist who asked me some specific questions to see where I was at. And I admitted to her, as I did with you, that I was seeing things and hearing things, and she recommended for me to go to inpatient. So someone else from that organization called me and said, okay, I'm going to give you a number to this facility who will take you in. It's in Texas. And it was Discovery Point. And I remember somebody from Florida calling me and figuring out what was going on. And I told them, and they're like, okay, well, we can get you some help. And they flew me to Ennis. And that was the first time I was able to see that this is a problem. I thought I was alone. I'm like, there's other people here who have the same issues. I mean, yeah, you see addiction on TV, or you hear people talk about it, but no one knows that they're an addict. Or I just knew that I had issues with my problem. I had problems. I couldn't control it. I couldn't stop it. I was disgusted with who I saw in the mirror, and I actually couldn't even look in the mirror anymore. I was done. But they were kind, and they brought me in, and that's a story in itself how I got there. But once I'm committed to something, I'm going to go all the way. Um, and my first night at DPR was a rough night because here I am at a place where I know they're going to try to help me, and I know the biggest thing, and I kept a secret as far as seeing the things and feeling the things that with me. I kept that secret with me because I didn't want anyone knowing. I was struggling with it, and I remember the first night I couldn't sleep. It was scary because I was trying to seek help and get these entities away from me. I guess I kind of felt like they knew that I was doing something about it, and so they were just pushing me and wouldn't leave me alone. I am 2 o'clock in the morning trying to get some sleep and get ready for the next day, and they were just like there onto me and speaking to me and wouldn't leave me alone. And I was having a rough time. I came to the common area, and I remember one of the leads saw that I was struggling, and she gave me some kind of coping mechanism or something to do to get my mind off of it and help me kind of focus on something else. And it really helped me out a lot. And I finally got to sleep, and I remember waking up the next day and sitting up out of my bed, and across from me was another client, and they looked towards me, and I was looking around. I'm like, where am I? Like I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, how did I get here? I guess I felt like I just woke up, out of whatever trance that I was in or sleep that I was in. But I just felt like I was just woken. And they called me down and said that, hey, you're here at Discovery Point, you're in treatment. And they started coming back to me. It's like, okay, all right. And, walking out of that room to the common area and seeing all these people, and I'm like, what is going on? I was, in a way, I was a little hesitant, but at the same time, I was like, all right, we have people here. I was ready to make new friends. And so I jumped right into it. Although I was going through detox, I was attending in groups right away. I was talking to people. I just wanted to see exactly what it was that I was doing. And the environment was great. I was like in country and, nature and peacefulness and serenity. I loved it. Of course, to me, I'm going to think that I'm always unique and I'm the only one going through something that nobody else is going through. Everybody was welcoming. People who've been there for weeks or, kind of knew where I was at. And they were just like, man, it's okay. We're all here too. We're all struggling with addiction and alcoholism, and we're gonna get through it together. And I was grateful. People being kind and meeting different characters from different states and different cities, and just like, all right, it kind of reminded me of camp. I was like, I remember going to camp and having a great time. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. But it was a great experience. Just knowing that I wasn't alone went a long way. After I left the first time, I had just the day before I hit 4 months of sobriety, I had relapse. I felt like I thought I understood it, that I won, that I'm done. I don't need this anymore. I got this. And I left with that mentality. Like, I don't need to do anything anymore. But and to me, I would say alcohol was not my thing, because it was something else, was hardcore drugs. Although I drank, alcohol wasn't my thing. But so I allowed myself to drink. I allowed myself to do some marijuana, and then it led to the other thing, and then it led to the other thing, and then it just got worse, and it ran away from me. I lost my apartment. My mother, I don't want to say she took my daughter from me, but she protected her from me. I had really no place to stay. I was living out of my car. I just had some stuff in storage, and all I could think about is just getting high again. And I did anything and everything to do it. I hurt a lot of people. I misused the trust I had with other people. I burned down some bridges. I lost pretty much my real friends. I did a lot of things. I was out of character from who I really was, or who I really am, and uh, you know, then it's just drugs were the only thing that mattered to me. It's getting high, and seeing if I can continue to get high. I had several overdoses, but I coped with it, and I just continued. But this last time, I had overdosed and died, and I think in my death, I don't know if it was God or if it was an angel that spoke to me, but just kind of made me understand that we need to get this, we need to fight this and beat this. Otherwise, I'm not coming back. So I kind of felt like this is my last chance. So when I woke up, I shared my experience with a friend who I went to DPR with, who prayed for like 30, 45 minutes on the phone, and we were both crying, and it was the power of prayer. It was powerful. It was so powerful. But I was hanging on by a thread, and I didn't know which way to go. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. I couldn't pay for treatment. I couldn't do anything. Another friend, someone who the first time I went to DPR with, he became like my best friend. He called me up, and he said, "Hey man, what's going on?" I confessed to him what was going on, that I needed help, that I just didn't know how to. And he told me to go back to DPR, and I said, "Well, I can't. I don't have any money." And he's like, "Well, hold on. Let me call you back." So he calls me back. He said, "Corey's going to call you." And Corey called me, and I told him what had happened. And Corey said, "Just give me a second. I'll call you back." And he called me back and said, "They have a scholarship for you." And I started crying. I was grateful, and I knew it was God helping me, because for him to wake me up, talk to me, and then for her to pray for me. 3 days later, he calls me, and then Corey, and then I said, "That's it. I'm just too much here for me to just ignore and deny. I know this is God working for me, and I'm surrendering to everything. I'm going to listen to every professional that I can listen to, every coach, every lead, every therapist, every nurse. Just listen, and I'm just going to give it all." The first time I needed it. This time I wanted it. So that was different. This time I wanted it, and I was committed, and I surrendered to everything. And when I saw that the effort that I was putting in, or was paying off with positive things, I already had a taste of that. I'm like, let's just keep going. Let's just see if I continue to do this, if this will work out. And so I've kept that mentality. Everything has been working out the way it's supposed to. And God is good, and he's been great for me, and his grace, his presence, everything that I've been given so far is because of him. But I know this process wouldn't have happened without DPR. So currently I manage the sober living house for DPR. And my approach to each client that comes in is always spiritual. I connect with them one-on-one. I sit down with them. I'm your leader of the house. I'm your manager of the house. But, I'm here for guidance, but I love you. I want you to know that I'm here for you. Whatever we need to do to help you get to that next step, we'll do it together. So I think I really wouldn't know exactly what to say unless I met that person first and understand what they're going through. But depending on that, of course, I'm going to connect with them in any way possible. Let them know that I've been there, or I've overdosed many times. I've been to treatment a couple times. I've done whatever I can to do it to get this right, and it's never worked my way. It's never worked my way. So I just have to just give it to somebody else. Right now I give everything to God, but the first step, you probably need to give it to somebody else to help you. And if I was to say of any person or any treatment center, I've only been to DPR, but they helped me out twice. They've saved my life twice. I am where I'm at today because of their foundation. And I do believe that you're a product of your environment. So if I continue to surround myself with people who do these things, if I continue to go to places that have these temptations in front of me, I'm going to end up doing it. So you can have that mentality. Yeah, you can beat this, and you can probably do it. But you can't do it on your own. You need help. You need to continue to surround yourself with people who have the same goals, who have the same mindset, who want to have recovery and sobriety like you do. Um, because if you surround yourself with those people, then you're going to be successful together.